Hello, hello, hello. I hope you all can hear me. This is Warren Redlick. Let's see how the sound is going. Everything okay? I think we should be good. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to the Vasa law firm in Sweden for all their support. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters for their support, for helping this channel grow. Let's get right into it. This is the big news. Tesla, this is the big news. Let me do it this way. So Tesla stock was below 800 and climbed and climbed and climbed over the past month and has now reached over $900 a share. I believe it's $909 a share at the last quote. Everyone hearing me okay? I can't tell whether people see me. Echo? Echo? I don't know. All right. Well, I hope the echo's not too bad. So the big news. Echo. All right, let's try a different microphone then. Let's try a different microphone. Let's go. Test. Can you guys hear that? Sounds good? So you're saying it's the room, it's not the, okay, it's a slight echo. I'm going to go back to the other thing then. This is going to be better. Okay, so yes, there's an echo issue. I'm going to be working on the echo issue. I've gotten this big cavernous space now and I'm going to need to worry about it. I'm not in my garage. Okay, so this is a new space. This is going to be my new YouTube studio. There's more coming. I'm just getting started with it. So here we go. So obviously really excited about the share price going up. I want to talk about why this is just the beginning. I want to talk about why this is just the beginning. This is only the beginning. Let's talk about this. This is Tesla's revenue from the recent report. So you can see that year on year, automotive revenue is up 58%. Automotive total revenue is up 57%. Okay, don't worry, I'll fix the microphone in the next week. But you can see 58% increase in automotive revenue from Q3 2020. From Q3 2020 to Q3 2021, we see a 58% revenue increase and a roughly 57% total revenue increase. Okay, that sounds good. So let's look at something else. Here's the profit increase. Okay, so from Q3 2020, we had EBITDA of 1807, $1.8 billion, and it went to 3.2 billion in Q3 2021. So EBITDA went up 77%. So that's a faster growth for profit than it is for revenue. And it's even more extreme when you look at net income and earnings per share. If you look over here, year on year, net income gap rose nearly about 400%. Earnings per share rose about 400%. Mic check time needs slow mode off and you won't get feedback in time. Okay, so this is the important point that I wanted to get at here. The important point I want to get at here is revenue is rising fast, 60% a year it looks like, 50, 60% a year. You know, vehicle deliveries are up 50, 60% a year. It's looking like 2022 will have nearly 80% delivery growth from 2021 to 2022 because we're 500,000 in 2021. We're heading close to 900,000 in 2022. That's an 80% growth rate for revenue, for deliveries. Revenue not quite as high because with the shift of the mix from Model S and X, which are expensive, to Model 3 and Y, which are less expensive. So you're seeing fast delivery growth and fast revenue growth, but the profit growth is crazy fast. Even if you look at non-GAAP net income, non-GAAP earnings per share, you're well over 100%. So when Wall Street is looking at, you know, there's how we look at Tesla stock and there's how everyone else might look at Tesla stock. We all see the growth. We all see the potential. If you're following this channel, we see, wow, this company's going to the moon, everything else. But if you're a Wall Streeter and you're looking at, okay, what's earnings per share? Go down to the bottom row here, and you see earnings per share was 27 cents GAAP, 76 cents non-GAAP, and now it's $1.44 GAAP and $1.86 non-GAAP. where are those profit numbers going? Where's earnings per share going? It's going up really fast. I mean, it doubled. It doubled or more than doubled in half a year, right? In just half a year, it doubled or more than doubled. So when you look at this and you say, okay, where is this going, right? Where is this? Where are these revenue numbers? Where are these profit numbers going? Revenue is going to go up. You know, it's going to be not quite double 2022 to 2021, but it's going up. But what about when you look at profit? Like, if this profit curve continues faster, if profit continues to grow faster than revenue, and revenue grows at 60% a year, you're talking about profit growing 100% a year or more. So take this Q3 number, let's call it, just for the sake of ease, let's say Q4 is going to be $2 a share. Whether it's GAAP or non-GAAP, who cares? Let's just talk about $2 a share. And think about this in terms of price-earnings ratio. Let's say at some point Tesla's going to get at $2 a share, and maybe that's Q4 2021. For a year, if you continued that, that would be $8 a share. At $800 a share, that would be 100 price-earnings ratio. Great. But when you think about this is growing fast, at some point that $2 a share is going to be $4 a share for a quarter, and then it's going to be $8 a share, and it's going to be $10 a share for a quarter, and you're going to be looking at annual profits $20 a share, $30 a share, $40 a share. If you think $40 a share in profit and you only paid $900 for the stock, you're like less than 25 price earnings ratio on a fast growing company. So if you're looking down the road and you're saying, where is this story going? And why is the profit growing faster than the revenue? Because we're shifting from, let me take this off the screen. By the way, t-shirts, what's outside the simulation, stainless steel mug at elonbits.com. Check the links below for elonbits.com. So why are profits growing faster than revenues? And not to say that that will continue forever, but what do we see? We are shifting from production in Fremont and shipping all over the world to now we are actually producing, I don't think we're producing more in Shanghai, but it's getting close that we're producing about as much in Shanghai as we're producing in Fremont. And now Shanghai, which is a lower cost place to produce and lower cost place to transport from, is doing most of that. So that's saving money on the cost of transporting vehicles, and it's delivering vehicles faster to the customer. But Berlin is about to open. And once Berlin opens, then all the European demand is satisfied by the Berlin Gigafactory. And now you have lower transportation costs for European customers as well. Now the China factory is delivering more vehicles to Chinese customers and other Asian customers. And then you've got Giga Texas coming online, so you've got an increased, and Giga Texas and Giga Berlin are lower cost producers than Fremont, and maybe lower cost than Shanghai, even though Shanghai has a bunch of advantages, because Texas and Berlin are a new production model. They're a new production system that's going to lower costs even more. So what you're looking at is rapidly increasing profits. And I don't think it's crazy to say we're going to see $4 a share in a quarter in 2022. Once you see $4 a share and $5 a share, let's say, is coming quick, that's $20 a share per year. And at $1,000 for a share price, it's a 50 price earnings ratio, which is crazy for a company going that fast. So the shirt is what's outside the simulation. I'm going to be talking about the simulation in a minute. Well, later in the video, I'll be talking about the simulation. So what's my projection for earnings per share in 2030? I don't have a projection for earnings per share in 2030 yet. So before I finish this, I want to just really quick, I want to touch on Cybertruck. McLovin said, or Adam Hoove said, he's not okay with side mirrors on Cybertruck. If you've been seeing the latest prototype of Cybertruck, it has side mirrors. And Elon said it's required by law for Tesla to put the side mirrors on the car. But if the owners want to remove the side mirrors, they can. Now, will your state police pull you over? Will your local police pull you over for not having side mirrors? They're probably going to think the car's cool and let it go. They want to show it off to him. Say, no, I can see behind here. Let me show you where the video is. I don't think that's going to be a problem. So this is an innovative approach from Tesla to say, we're going to put the side mirrors on the Cybertruck, but when we're not telling you to take them off, but if you take them off, we're not saying anything either. So that's a thought. All right, so let's move on. I want to move on to the Patreon Q&A. So for those who don't know this, I often do what I call a Patreon Q&A. I have Patreon supporters. So if you support the channel, thanks to the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden, all my Patreon supporters, there's a link to Patreon in the description below. I do Q&A. Let me do it on this side. I like to do Q&A. I like to do Q&A, so here's the Q&A. Alexandra, who I'm a big fan of, says, great for the timing tomorrow. Does the current all-time high feel the same as in January 2021? No. She has the impression people are less stoked about it. The thing is that this all-time high is, I wish I was wearing my Tesla is the next Tesla shirt the other day. This is just the beginning. This is just the very beginning. The stock is, if profits continue to grow like we're seeing profits grow, if revenue and deliveries continue to grow like we're seeing them grow, then what we're going to see is the stock price is going to go up and up and up. If the stock price, if the profit for the fourth quarter, which we're going to see in early January, if that's over $2 a share, if you keep seeing the earnings per share climbing fast, if Giga Berlin and Giga Texas start producing, and that gives an indication that we're going to see even higher profits. And also, James Stevenson has a theory that the profits in the fourth quarter are going to be unusually high because some accounting trick, but that's not accounting trick, some accounting oddity. But that doesn't carry forward. We're going to see profits going up and up and up, and that's going to drive share price up and up and up. I don't think we saw the profit story happening in January 2021 because Shanghai wasn't really fired up and rolling yet. So I think that answers Alexandra's question. Now let's look at Dara's question. Looking forward to seeing the studio. We're getting started. Apparently I need to work harder on sound deadening, which is going to happen. And I got to work on my computer. I forgot. I had my computer connected by an Ethernet cable, and the Ethernet port is too far away to connect it, and apparently my computer doesn't have Wi-Fi, so we're using the laptop. So saw my tweet, reinflation, Jack Dorsey. Can you explain how everything will change as Jack suggests and how to prepare? Okay, so for 8+ years now, I have been talking about hyperinflation. Let me take this off the screen for a second. I have been talking about hyperinflation. The Federal Reserve, since around 2008, the U.S. Federal Reserve started printing a lot of money. And at that time, I thought it was a lot of money. I thought they were printing really fast. I thought it was dangerous. When the current crisis hit in 2020, let's say, the Federal Reserve started printing money at like a pace I don't know if anyone's ever seen before. They basically quintupled the supply of money in a short time. And we're seeing that play out in various ways, that they're printing money faster, and you're seeing like home prices are going through the roof. Asset prices are going through the roof. There's all this cash available to fund questionable startups like Rivian and Lucid. I hope both companies succeed, but their business models are questionable. So if you have all this money flooding in, then flooding into the economy, it goes somewhere. And is it increasing prices at the store? I'm not so sure. I think that will come eventually, but you're seeing it affect asset prices, home prices in particular, stock prices in particular. I think you're seeing it go up. Surround yourself with pillows. I'll figure something out about the sound. Don't worry. It's probably, I've got like a wall right behind me, so I'm going to put blankets on the wall. That'll probably help. Stuff to do. So, now, surprisingly, gold hasn't gone up in price that much. Bitcoin has gone up a lot. So, I have, what is this? I have a cheap device that you plug in a wall out and plug Ethernet cord in. Same in another one of your routers giving you Ethernet. Oh, Ethernet over the power lines? I might try that. I don't know. I don't think I want to do that. I think the Wi-Fi will be fine. So, I'm on Wi-Fi now with my laptop and it's working fine. So, I think we're good. So, I have been concerned for a long time that we're going to face an economic crisis related to inflation, that if inflation really starts to pick up and you go to hyperinflation, like in Venezuela, you go to hyperinflation like saw in Germany after World War I, that can really destroy an economy. That's really dangerous. So, you know, does Tesla fare worse in that scenario than anybody else? I don't know. I think what we've seen so far is that in a crisis, the best performing companies survive the best. So Tesla might be a very good safe haven in a hyperinflation, although in a hyperinflation, does it get to the point where people can't afford to buy anything? And that's a problem for every company. We'll see. I'm going to put something on the walls. Yes, Melody. So there's some issues there. Okay, let me go back. But I mean, you know, we have to understand that hyperinflation is a huge potential risk. There's all kinds of threats that can wreck an economy, that can create problems, whether it's an asteroid falling from the sky or whatever. And one of those threats is economic collapse of some sort. Venezuela saw an economic collapse recently. Are we really doing better than Venezuela in our economic policy? If you ask me, no. But at the same time, I've been saying this for 8 years and I've been wrong for 8 years. So maybe I'm just Chicken Little. So I don't know. I'm concerned about it. I was surprised to see Jack bring it up, but it's Jack, for those who don't know, Jack Dorsey is the CEO of Twitter. Okay, so Damien asks, if Tesla eventually gets A ratings for their bonds and becomes $1 trillion company, do I think Tesla will join Apple in the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index to represent AI, robotics, and EVs? I think that Tesla will. Well, first of all, I don't think the bond rating matters because Tesla's not borrowing money. So that's not really, you know, the A rating is just an indication that the company is stable and the Wall Street views the company as stable. It seems odd that it's not already viewed as stable considering it has nearly zero debt. Tesla's down to like $2 billion in debt, where some of the other car companies have like $150 or $200 billion in debt. So it seems odd that Tesla's rating would be so low. You know, a company that's making more profit than it owes on a quarterly basis can probably pay back their debts anytime. So, but Tesla doesn't need to borrow. Is more a reflection of the Dow Jones being behind the times than it is a reflection on Tesla. Dow Jones Industrial Average has become relatively trivial. The S&P 500 is much more important. So the kids don't know Chicken Little. I think the kids do know Chicken Little. All right, and I'll say, how would this affect Tesla share prices? Many indexes would have to buy Tesla shares. And I believe this is incorrect. I think there are very few ETFs that are based on the Dow Jones. A lot more ETFs are based on the S&P 500, and Tesla's already in the S&P 500. The amount of capital that's involved in the Dow Jones index funds is small. Who do I think Tesla would place in the Dow Jones Industrial Average? I don't know. And then Milton asks if I saw this video of an unboxing of a $2,000 Chinese vehicle. I did see it. Thanks for the link, Milton. I did watch it, or at least watch part of it. It's kind of like a large toy truck that you can sit in and actually somewhat useful, but you can't take it on roads. And getting it in the United States ultimately ends up costing you $8,000, not $2,000. Not sure it's worth it. It's interesting that they can make a vehicle for $2,000 that's larger and has more features than what I'm planning to do for the single passenger pod car. So we'll see how that goes. So thank you, Milton. Thank you to the Patreon supporters for your support. I'm going to go on with my shtick here. Tesla keeps saying Berlin and Austin will max out at 500,000 cars. No, that's not what Tesla's saying, Maves. Maves says in the chat, Tesla keeps saying Berlin and Austin will max out at 500 cars production by the end of 2022. But I keep saying they'll get to 2 million each. What am I missing? They didn't say they're going to max out at 500,000. They said that by the end of 2022, they're hoping to reach a 10,000 vehicle a week run rate. But they're not using the whole factory yet. What you're missing is that the Model Y lines that are going to start running in Berlin and Texas aren't the whole factory. There's more room in the factory buildings to do more. And there's more space, there's more land in Berlin and Texas to do more. So not an issue. Okay, let's move on. Let's go here to, okay, so I had let me go over this way, sorry. I got these backwards. So FSD beta 10.3 was released last night. I will confess to my YouTube subscribers and those watching this video that I have FSD beta 10.3. I drove it for about an hour this morning. This community that I'm in has a gate. As I leave, what has been happening in the past is as I leave the gate, the car races at the gate, not aware that there's a gate in the way. And this morning it stopped. It didn't start up again when the gate opened, but it at least recognized there was a gate there and didn't try to drive through it. So I'm going to try on some other gates. South Florida has a bunch of gated communities. I'm going to try it on some other gated communities and see if it's doing better at the gates. But these are the specific notes that they added. FSD profiles. I didn't look at this yet to allow drivers to control behavior like rolling stops, exiting passing lanes, speed-based lane changes, following distance, yellow light headway. My experience with this morning was it seemed like the lane change behavior was better. Lane change behavior in 10.2 was quirky. It was making odd lane changes. I think that FSD beta likes the middle lane. If you're on a 3-lane road, there's a lot of 3-lane roads, 3 lanes each way roads here. It seems like it really likes the middle lane. But before it was making sudden lane changes for no apparent reason. It would say, give a reason like following route when it wasn't really following the route reason. So Sachin asks about Tesla Pi mobile phone. There's no Tesla mobile phone coming. I don't know why people keep thinking there's a phone. There's no phone. Let's see. So added planning capability to drive along oncoming lanes to maneuver around path blockage. Drive along. Okay. I did notice it very smoothly avoided bicyclists on the shoulder this morning when I was driving it. Improved creeping speed by linking speed to visibility, network estimation, and distance to encroachment point of crossing lanes. I didn't notice any change in creep speed, but I didn't really look at that. Improved crossing object velocity estimation. Okay, so one of the things that's going on and that's really important to understand about FSD is the way it learns, and it's doing things, they're measuring things we don't see. And this is an example of them measuring something we don't see. Improving crossing object velocity estimation by 20% and yaw estimation by 25%. These are things that the vehicle is calculating internally that you would not see driving the car. And it just means it's perceiving the world better. And as it makes better, as its ability to perceive the world improves, then its decision making will improve as well. Improve semantic detections, brake lights, turn indicators by adding 25,000 video clips. Improve static obstacle control by up-revving the generalized static object network, 6,000 more video clips. So they're adding a lot of video clips that's helping them to improve a lot of things that they're trying to detect when they're watching the road. Semantic detections means detecting things with meaning. Allowed more acceleration when merging from on-ramps. I didn't test that today. Reduce false slowdowns. I definitely feel like there were a lot more false slowdowns yesterday than today. Over the past week, I felt like there were a lot of unnecessary false slowdowns, and there were a lot less of that today. I don't know how much of a difference it was, but it seemed like less. I'm not driving the same routes, not driving in the same traffic, so there's no delay in the cathode building that I know of. Improved turning profile for unprotected turns by allowing ego to cross over lane lines more naturally. Ego is the car. I didn't notice whether it was making better lane choices. I'm not sure about that. Whether its lane changing behavior was better in that way. Improved speed profile for boosting onto high-speed roads by enforcing stricter longitudinal and lateral acceleration limits required to beat the crossing objects. Okay, so that's what FSD Beta's release notes say. I just would say in my own experience with it, it felt a little better, but I didn't drive it enough to have a firm opinion. And this is that point here. I think the biggest takeaway here is this point here, that like this improved crossing object velocity estimation. This is the type of thing that you and I, if you were driving FSD Beta or you're watching an FSD Beta video, you wouldn't see this. You wouldn't be aware this is happening. They are checking to improve how FSD detects objects and how it predicts what objects will do. And all those things, that's these things in the middle here, these are all things that show they're improving its perception of the world around it and its understanding of the world around it. Really important stuff. Okay. Little bit of Elon tweets. Let me just do this. This is going to be better. Okay. So Sam Altman tweeted about neural networks here, and they truly learn, and that's pretty cool. And James Hong said, it's so mind-bogglingly significant that it ups the chances in my mind we are living in a simulation. Like, why am I alive just as this is happening seems almost too coincidental. What's outside the simulation? Elon nods to the simulation. I just thought that was a cool bit there. Some more updates about FSD. Brett Winton from ARK Invest talked about how robotaxi could be the most meaningful economic productivity delivering innovation. This is another thing when it comes to profit, the profit story. If Tesla is able to deliver FSD in wide release, Elon says the day FSD goes to wide release will be one of the biggest asset value increases in history. I think what he's saying is that the price of FSD is going to go up when it goes into wide release. They've ducked that. I think it's pretty clear. I think Zach said it. I think Zach unintentionally admitted it at the Q3 investor call in response to a question. FSD beta's price is going to go up, or I should say FSD. The price of FSD is going to go up when FSD beta goes into wide release because it's now a feature release to everyone. And that profit story I was talking about before becomes much more dramatic when you add FSD profits. So, all right. So that's an important little detail here. So just keep this in mind. The day FSD goes to wide release will be one of the biggest asset value increases in history. When FSD goes to wide release, if the stock hasn't jumped yet, if the stock doesn't jump the next day, buy the stock. This is not financial advice, but buy the stock. I own a ridiculous amount of the stock already. If I have free cash, I'm buying the stock. Okay, another news item related to Tesla, which a lot of you have probably followed, is the recent actions. NHTSA appointed Missy Cummings, who follows Tesla Q, uses a Tesla Q block list, has at different times suggested she wants to punch Elon Musk, that she views autopilot as dangerous. She has preconceived notions that are unfavorable to Tesla in particular. And this is a dubious decision by the Biden administration. And I don't like to get political on this podcast, on my live streams, but I don't know how you cannot get political about this. If you are a Tesla fan, the Biden administration just screwed Tesla. They've screwed Tesla before by not inviting them to it, by scheduling an EV event and not inviting Tesla to it. And I mean, I don't know how much more Joe Biden can do to tell you he hates Elon Musk and he hates Tesla. I don't know what else you need. Show me where Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the Biden administration, show me where they've expressed any interest in working with Tesla and Elon Musk on anything. I don't see it. And Pete Buttigieg, I don't know how to pronounce his name, who's the Secretary of Transportation, suggested that if Elon wasn't happy about it, Elon should call him. And this is a particular beef I have, and this isn't just about Democrats. I've seen this with Republicans too. Look, if you are a public official and there is a public dispute, it should be resolved publicly. The idea that the world's wealthiest man should talk to you in a private conversation, how much money are you going to ask him for? Why else do you need to have this in a private conversation? This is plain on its face that Missy Cummings hates Tesla, hates Elon Musk, and she was appointed to this job. Why was she chosen? Okay, what is the purpose of the private conversation, Mayor Pete? What is the purpose? The purpose of the conversation is for you to shake Elon down for money. It's absurd. Have the conversation with Lex Friedman moderating. Have the conversation with Joe Rogan moderating. This nonsense about suggesting a private conversation. Anytime you hear somebody in a position of political power saying, call me, we should discuss this privately, what they're saying is, I'm corrupt and I want you to feed my corruption. There's no other explanation for why you would have that conversation in private. Klaus, no, I cannot view your question at 1822. I cannot scroll back. I'm not scrolling back for questions. We're not in the Q&A section at the moment. The Q&A will be later in the video. I did a Patreon Q&A first. Yeah, Misty Cummings, I think one point she threatened to punch Elon, said she wanted to punch Elon. Another point, you know, she retweeted the tweet that said that this would have an effect on Tesla. I mean, this is a person who has it in for Tesla. And the Biden administration knows that, and Pete knows that, and they put her in a position where she can have influence against Tesla. There's no other reason for her appointment than to slam Tesla. No other reason. So, I don't know what, if somebody can explain what other purpose there would be for Pete to have a private, and Missy Cummings said she'd be happy to sit down with Elon. Why is this about private conversations? On what possible world does it make sense for public officials to have private conversations with the wealthiest man in the world? Do it publicly. Have Missy Cummings do a sit down with Elon on the Lex Friedman podcast. Let Lex Friedman interview them both and hash it out. And now it's public. If Mayor Pete wants to have a conversation with Elon, do it on Joe Rogan. Pete doesn't know enough about self-driving stuff to do that conversation himself with Lex, but they could go on Joe Rogan together. They could do it publicly with a moderator like Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman. If you think Joe Rogan's too hot politically, do it with Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman's a moderate. You can't go after Lex. So it's absurd and it's offensive, and I'm not going to apologize for talking about that. And just really quick, I tweeted on October 19th that the Biden administration put two Tesla haters, not one, two Tesla haters in charge of the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. They moved up the first image, which is here. You can't see it in full. They didn't just hire Missy Cummings. They also hired the guy who's been in charge of investigating Tesla to be head of NHTSA. What? This is the guy who's, they said, we want to investigate. Why would you put the guy who's been in charge of investigating Tesla in charge of the whole agency? And they did Missy Cummings, one of the most outspoken, right here, one of the most outspoken critics of Tesla. And Elon, I'm pleased to say Elon responded to my tweet, and I'm going to brag for a second here that this is now the 6th time that Elon has replied to one of my tweets. 7 if you count this one. He actually replied twice. So I get a little bit of a brag there. All the ladies out there, if you want a guy who's cool, Elon replies to my tweets. So, t-shirts, what's outside the simulation? The Elon water bottle. ElonBits.com. Check out ElonBits.com, buy some merch, or check the top of the chat. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk about SpaceX next. I'm very, very excited about SpaceX. I'm always excited about SpaceX. Hopefully the sound is off on this video, but this is a video that SpaceX just published showing the status of Starbase. You can see amazing stuff. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Amazing stuff happening at Starbase. I visited Starbase, maybe it's a little more than a month ago now, with Ellie in space. This is just absolutely mind-blowing to see this stuff happening. We're going to Mars, folks. We're going to the moon. We're going to Mars. A lot of great stuff happening. I'm Elon's spirit animal. I don't think so. I think K10 is Elon's spirit animal. So all this amazing stuff happening at Starbase. More to come. I'm going to talk about the more to come in a second, but let me just let the video finish. You can just see this is Starship floating down during a launch. You know, coming down with the fins helping it steady itself, and then coming down for a landing. There's just amazing, amazing stuff. I'm talking about Lucid shortly. I will get to Lucid. I don't think I missed it. And you can see Super Heavy's coming out, and you're going to see static fire of Super Heavy. We had a static fire of Starship SN20. All kinds of great stuff happening at Starbase. This is all getting closer. These are the heat tiles on the side of Starship. This is Starship being stacked on top of Super Heavy. So much great stuff happening there. This is so incredible. Really cool stuff. Okay, so I think that's the end of that video. And then this is just a shot that somebody else took this shot. I don't know where this shot is from. I think this might be from the Rio Grande, actually. and you just have this gorgeous view of Starbase with SN20, a couple of super heavies, the launch tower, everything set up. You can see in the back there's some tanks. If you get a chance to go to the southern tip of Texas, it's worth it. It's surprisingly cheap to fly there right now on American Airlines, or I think United Airlines. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was United or Delta. I think it was American and United have flights to Brownsville, Texas. If you get a chance to go there, go there. It's absolutely spectacular. There were some tweets about Raptor. So about a few days ago, Everyday Astronaut tweeted about how they prevented flow separation. So actually, let me put this video on first. This is a static fire of SN20 using a vacuum optimized engine. This is an engine that's designed for space rather than sea level. When you launch in space, there's no air pressure around, so the type of the design of the rocket changes. So Everyday Astronaut wanted to know how they fired a vacuum optimized engine at sea level. He thought the pressure would be so low, the ambient air pressure would separate flame from nozzle and destroy the engine. Elon says Raptor has a very high chamber pressure, which in turn allows for a large expansion ratio nozzle without flow separation at sea level. He said it's currently at 270 bars, but working on, which is a measure of the performance of the engine, working on upgrades to get it over 300. And then apparently they got it to 321 bar before RUD. RUD is a rapid unscheduled disassembly. That means they blew up an engine. They blew up a Raptor engine, but the cause may be due to oxidant inlet pressure too low rather than engine issues. So they are potentially getting the efficiency and power of the Raptor engines up even higher, which is great news for all kinds of things. This is absolutely spectacular stuff. Okay, so talked about the tiles, and Elon again was talking about the large expansion ratio nozzle. Toby Lee said it looks like some TPS tiles fell off. I think I have an image of that. Do I think this will be a major issue for the orbital launch? And Elon said, no, we expect some tiles to shake loose during static fires. Static fires. You can see it. Where is it? Is it here? You can see it up here. Oh. On the picture in the upper left, you can see the little white dots. Let me make that bigger. Thought I had a picture of this that was better. On the picture on the upper left, you can see little white dots. That's where tiles fell off during the static fire. So Elon says we expect some tiles to shake loose during static fires. So the tiles aren't perfect. They may fall off. I think there's a question about whether Starship can re-enter. I don't know whether the expectation is that Starship will be able to re-enter the atmosphere with a few tiles missing and it'll be able to handle that. Or if the expectation is when it's not a static fire, the same pressures won't be there and the tiles will stay on. I'm not sure. So this was a big tweet. If all goes well, Starship will be ready for its first orbital launch attempt next month, pending regulatory approval. So they are still working on some engineering issues for Starship, but they are making progress. So this is exciting. So I don't think the launch will happen next month. The FAA, the FAA is reviewing Starship. So submit your comments for support to the FAA by November 1st. So there's an email form here. Look for Space Padre Isle on Twitter, and you can find the link. I wrote a lengthy comment saying, how I think it's really, number one, I think the environmental issues are small, and number two, this is really important for preserving humanity. So dragon scale tiles, yeah. Okay, so we got that, and then, okay, so then there's this last bit here. Elon was in a conversation, and he mentioned first how full and rapid reusability is the holy grail of orbital rocketry. He said that before. Pranay Padhole, who Elon replies to a lot, says, how much tons could Starship deliver to orbit if it was doing an expendable launch instead of a reusable launch? Could it deliver 300 tons to orbit? Elon says well-optimized Starship would do 250 tons to orbit as expendable and 150 tons fully reusable. So I think it's generally going to make sense to always use it reusable. Cool stuff. And they're making progress with the chopsticks. The idea is that when Super Heavy and Starship come down and land, the tower will actually have these arms sticking out that will catch them, and place them down where they need to go. Sounds crazy, but apparently they're doing it. So please, as Cormac says, please email the FAA and let them know you support SpaceX Starship and you want this to go forward. So let's move on. Okay, boring news. I know you all want to be bored. The Boring Company has received some significant approval from the City of Las Vegas and or the Clark County Commission to I don't know why this is. Wait, let's see. Does this look better if I do it over here? I think that looks better. I don't know. This is weird. Everything's weird today. I'm not used to my setup. I'm sorry. So congratulations, Boring Company, on getting approval to run the tunnel through the Strip. Elon says it's going to be great. There's more detail coming here. Clark County. So there's the City of Las Vegas and there's the county. Clark County approves Boring Company's Vegas Loop to run under the Strip, downtown, 29 miles, 51 stations. An estimated 700 Tesla EVs will run through the system at a time. 57,000 people ushered through the loop per hour, and Elon says this will be cool. This is a big development. Boring Company said 29 miles, 51 stations, thanks to the Clark County team. It's going to go to Allegiant Stadium. It's going to go to UNLV. It's going to go to the airport. This is going to make Las Vegas a great place for commuting. It's going to make a great place for tourists. I rode the Boring Loop in the convention center. This is a much larger expansion. It's going to be interesting to see how fast they can get this done. And then the last thing, Boring Company said, want to help us tunnel faster than our arch nemesis, Gary the Snail. Positions available in Austin and Vegas. I visited the Boring Company property in Austin twice now. Only one time I actually walked on the property. The other time I was at the gate. If you are interested, please check out the Boring Company, especially if you have engineering talent. They need people. This is a company that's going to grow fast. I'm convinced this company is going to be the largest growth company in the world. Like from today on, Boring Company is going to grow faster than anything else, except possibly Neuralink. But Boring Company is going to be amazing. Like right now, 2 miles of tunnel in Las Vegas. In the future, 100,000 miles of tunnel. It's a 50,000x growth story. Boring Company has like off the charts potential. If I get a chance to invest in Boring Company, I'm going to invest in Boring Company. So we're really excited about that. Going forward in Las Vegas, there's progress in Fort Lauderdale. There's progress in Austin, Texas, and San Antonio behind the scenes. Progress in Miami behind the scenes. I think we're going to see a lot of Boring projects, and this is going to take off. All right, and let's see. So now we're down to Q&A. Okay, Warren ducks out of the way of his own screenshots. So... hope we discuss Tesla's historic high now a little. It's great to celebrate a win. Jim, I don't see this as a historic high. I see this as just one step along the way. This is only the beginning. Tesla is trading $900 a share. It's going to be $2,000 a share. It's going to be $5,000 a share. It's going to be $10,000 a share. About tunnels for cables and water transfer. There will also be tunnels for utilities, but the primary tunnels are going to be, I think, for vehicles. I think that the Boring Company will need capital. I don't think they're going to go IPO, though. I don't think they're going to be publicly traded for a while. It would be nice if they would go public sooner, but I don't think so. Oh, Lucid. Where was my Lucid thing? I had a Lucid thing. Oh, here we go. Lucid. Lucid Motors tweeted this morning at 10 a.m. on East Coast time that they have Lucid Airs on a truck apparently going somewhere. This would suggest that Lucid Motors is going to deliver these vehicles to someone or something. So I did want to address Lucid Motors. Thank you for asking about that. They may prove me wrong. I think this is still fluff. I think Lucid has demonstrated again and again that they will take steps to make things look good. But we are October 24th. There's a week to go in the month, and they haven't delivered a car to a customer yet. They told us at their event, they had an event about, I don't know, a few weeks ago, they were going to deliver cars by the end of the month to customers. I don't think they're delivering cars to customers. I think these are vehicles that are going to go to showrooms. These are vehicles that are going to go to company employees. I don't think that these are really going to be delivered to customers. And my theory is that They need to push the scam out to the end of October in order for the insiders to get as much money out as they can, sell as much stock as they can before the bad news hits. That's my theory. We'll see. If they deliver, they deliver. I haven't seen a Lucid customer say, hey, I got notified my delivery's on its way. You would think if they were going to deliver somebody's car in a week, they would have told them your car's coming. Well, so Mark Plot says Lucid's only delivering to employees. Lucid said they were producing vehicles at the beginning of the month, and those vehicles were for employees and for shops, for the Tesla, the Lucid stores, but they said they were going to deliver to customers by the end of the month. That's what I remember hearing. I could be wrong. I think they said they were going to deliver to customers by the end of the month. So are these being delivered to customers? We'll see. We'll see. I suspect that this is a bit of a thing. Free Kekistan asks, Warren, now that you drive a Tesla, do you call ICE owners gas holes, or do you still give them the bird? I do not insult ICE owners yet. No, I'm not that far down the road. I did drive a 2013 Mazda CX-9, and boy, did it feel like a 20-year-old U-Haul. Does wide release FSD mean all around the world? No. Wide release FSD means probably the United States and maybe Canada. Wide release around the world will be later, depending on regulatory approval in those countries. Let's see. When is the next 3-day orbiting Dragon trip? I don't know. Where's the video on Waymo? I did a video on Waymo. It's on my channel. Oy. Thank you, Francois Couture. I unfortunately do agree with you about Biden, but does Kamala Harris still got Tesla options? No, Nancy Pelosi or her husband bought Tesla options. That's what happened. Let's see. Yes, I heard about the Mexican Mach-E. I heard about the Mach-E having issues with they think they had a massive recall. Lucid paint show, and thank you for your support, Francois. What'll happen to robotaxi model if Tesla licenses FSD to others? Then Tesla will make money off other people licensing FSD and running the vehicles in the same robotaxi network. That would be fantastic. I'm just looking back for questions. Do I think hyperinflation could benefit robotaxi? Hyperinflation doesn't benefit anybody. Hyperinflation is devastating to the economy. It's devastating to everybody. It's good. In a sense, it's good for people who hold gold or other hard assets, but ultimately it's bad for everyone. Hyperinflation is terrible. When do I expect FSD beta in Europe? I think that's up to European regulators. I don't think we can predict that. European regulators so far have not been very favorable. I don't know. Anything new on Megapacks? There's a Megapack factory then up and running in Lathrop, California. On the Q3 investor call, they talked about how that's going to lead to a 40 gigawatt hour production rate, which is more than 10x what they produced in the last 12 months. So Megapack is going to the moon. Boring paying for tunnel. I believe that Las Vegas said that taxpayer money would not be used to pay for the tunnels. So I think what's happening is the boring company is building the tunnels and paying for it themselves, probably with a funding round or some other way. And they will be charging fares. Or maybe the casinos are chipping in to have it built because the casinos are benefiting from it. I'm not sure exactly how it's being paid for. Hoping we're going to get an answer. Do I think boring will ever go public? Yes. I think the boring company will go public to raise capital so they can build a lot more tunnels. They're going to need the machine that builds the boring machine. And they're going to need money to do all these. Benoni says, how can I communicate directly with Elon? I wish I knew the answer to that question. I don't know. I tweet to him on Twitter. He responds to people every once in a while. It turns out that he's the wealthiest man in the world. He has 61 million followers on Twitter. So there's a lot of people who would like to communicate with Elon. Even the Secretary of Transportation has trouble getting a hold of him, apparently. Are Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson going to drill their own smaller, less exciting tunnels that don't go as far as deep? No. And thank you, Harry Whistling, for bringing up Lucid Motors. How about tunnels for cables and water transport? Covered that. All right, let's see. Do I think Rivian will trickle trucks and focus on Amazon vans? I think battery supply limits will make it a problem. I don't know. I think those are two separate things. I think they're making the vans. I think the vans are probably using different battery technology than the trucks. I don't think that should be an issue. I don't know, but I don't think that should be an issue. Communicate with Elon telepathically, exactly. I think I answered that. Yes, I think Boring Company will go public. What would be my worst case and best case for Lucid as of now by next quarter? Well, the worst case for Lucid is they admit that they can't deliver cars, or that they're stalling for some reason. That's the worst case scenario, and then the stock price tanks even more. The best case is they actually deliver cars. Look, I'm skeptical, but if they deliver 100 cars by the end of the year, that would be impressive. I think they still have a long-term problem. Based, if you look at their slide deck, I think let me pull up the Lucid slide deck. I just want to show this. Where did I put that? No. Here it is. This is from the Lucid slide deck. No. Can't get anything right. No, this one. Let's see. So this is from the Lucid Motors slide deck, okay? And here's the problem with the Lucid story. If you look up here, in 2026, Lucid claims they're going to deliver 250,000 vehicles. The revenue is $23 billion. That works out to about $90,000 a car. If you go to the year before, 135,000 cars with $14 billion in revenue, so the revenue is over $100,000 a car. So if 250,000 cars with an average selling price of over $90,000, the market isn't going to support that high of a volume. And then there was some news article today about they're going to do a $25,000 car. Well, where's the $25,000 car in this? You know, if you're going to have an average selling price of $90,000 and, you know, the 75,000 of the cars are $25,000 cars, then you're not getting, your average selling price isn't going to be over $90,000. This just doesn't make sense. So this is the problem with Lucid Motors, is that, you know, here's their best case scenario. What they claim is going to happen is that in 2022, they're going to sell 20,000 cars with an average selling price of $110,000. And they don't have the orders to support that. They have 13,000 orders. They reported, last time they reported, the vast majority of their orders were for the $80,000 version of the vehicle. So they're not going to get an average selling price of $110,000 if 12,000 or 13,000 vehicles are $80,000. It doesn't work. So let's see. Lucid needs a huge hill to roll down. No, the cars move. It's just they're not as good as they claim they are. That's the problem. So let's go back to... if I'm worried about inflation, you should read about money velocity. There'll be no problems with inflation, regardless of how much money the Fed prints. There is no money velocity. You know, there's a lot of... That's the best and the brightest problem. There are people who think they know better, and the reality is if you print money, ultimately it blows up in your face. Oh, thank you, Ben Pena. Is Facebook a joke with its metaverse fantasy? I am off Facebook. I literally do not pay attention to Facebook at all. I have no idea what's happening on Facebook, and I'm happy about it. I don't know what's on Facebook. I don't want to know what's on Facebook. So, no, I don't think Lucid is similar to Nikola. I think Lucid is similar to Theranos. Nikola was an obvious fraud from the beginning. The Trevor guy from Nikola was an obvious clown. Lucid is a much more, in my opinion, Lucid is a much more sophisticated fraud. We'll see if they actually deliver cars. I'm gonna have to eat my words. Let's see if they deliver cars. Now, why do you say this, Jim? Jim says Wright's Law is not kind to Lucid and all new car startups. There's another problem with Lucid, which I put on Twitter. I don't know if I did it in a video. If you look at I don't know if I can find it. Let me see if I can find this. I don't know if I have it handy. I don't think I have it handy. There's a guy named Matt Joyce who does, he does a chart of vehicle efficiency. He measures vehicle efficiency, what he calls core efficiency, which is the vehicle's battery pack divided by the vehicle's range over 100 divided by the vehicle's weight over 100, something like that. And you know, the worst vehicles are up, the worst EVs are up around 9, the best vehicles are down around 5 with the Tesla Model X long range. And Lucid's vehicle, so you get about, like, they get down towards 5.0. Lucid's vehicle, if they with the claims they're making about their battery pack, they're claiming a core efficiency of 4.3, which doesn't seem credible to me. I think they have a much larger battery pack than they're admitting. Wright's law means low volume producers will have a hard time selling at a profit. Interesting. I think Porsche Taycan is being sold at a profit. If you sell at a very high price point, I think you can still make money. But you have to sell a high. The problem for Lucid is that their story doesn't add up when you look at their story doesn't add up when you look at the volume they need to sell. If they're selling low volume, it works, but then the problem is that they're losing cash too fast. Will the Saudis allow them to go bankrupt? I don't, you know, at some point the Saudis aren't going to send good money after bad. Lucid is for MSBS. I don't know what MSBS is. What is Facebook? Yes, Andy Onions. What is Facebook? What would happen to Tesla stock if they buy 10% SpaceX, Starlink, and Boring Company? I don't think that's a good plan. I don't think there's an advantage to anybody in the system for Tesla to buy stock in SpaceX, Starlink, and Boring Company. They already work together. There's no gain there. SpaceX, Starlink, and Boring Company have the privilege, and also Neuralink have the privilege of operating without public scrutiny. So it doesn't make sense. I think Starlink will go public when it's profitable. And the profit story is obvious, and they've proven the economic model. Then it makes sense to raise money to fund further growth and be publicly traded, and then the shareholders can cash out and get something for it. Wunderbox, yes. Brady says, Warren, if you could ask Elon any Tesla-related question today, what would it be? Well, my Tesla-related question would be personal. I would talk to Elon about my pod car idea for a single-passenger EV, and I would ask him what he thinks of my idea. And also, I would ask him about my solar farm apartment idea. I would ask him for his thoughts and try to apply whatever wisdom he has to make my startups better chance. If Lucid's success, what do I think price will be after 2 years? So this is the problem, Ibrahim. Ibrahim asks about Lucid success. If Lucid succeeds, okay, and I wonder if I have the other one. I have the other one. Where is it? Let's see. I have another Lucid. I don't know if I have it. This one? I don't think I have it. The problem with Lucid's story is they don't make a profit until 2025, I think. They're losing money in the first 3 columns. They're losing cash. So they run out of cash. If everything goes according to plan, they run out of cash at the end of 2022 or into 2023. If you run out of cash, you got to raise more cash. So, all right, so now you're looking at the future and you're saying, okay, did they sell 20,000 cars in 2022? Did they sell 49,000 cars in 2023? Did they get Project Gravity off the ground? Does all this get Project Gravity off the ground? I like the way that sounds. Are they going to achieve all the things that they're saying? If they achieve everything they're saying, they're still losing money. They're still losing money in 2023. They got a hard road. And I hate to say the competition is coming, but the competition is coming. You know, Model S and Model X are going to scale production, and they're going to sell every car they make. So, you know, and Mercedes is coming out with the EQS, presumably. And will the EQS take sales from Lucid Air? The Lucid Air is smaller than the Mercedes S-Class and smaller than the EQS. Do people who are buying at that level want the bigger vehicle? I don't know. It's an interesting question. It also has a small trunk. There's all kinds of issues with Lucid. They'll make a small fortune by starting with a large fortune. Thank you, Jim. CM says my price model 25,000 by 2026 should change to 2030 because no robotaxi this year. No. My model where I predict $25,000 a share in 2026 does not require robotaxi to be live in 2021. The minute robotaxi goes live, the game changes. If robotaxi goes live in 2024, then Tesla starts producing robotaxis in 2024 and 2025. And by 2026, they have a large network of robotaxis and they're making a ridiculous amount of money on it. Does it push it off a year? Maybe. It doesn't push it off 4 years. No. Kyler says, did your wife throw you out? I heard you make a pitch to the ladies, plus it sounds like you're in a basement. I'm in a condo. I don't want to discuss my personal life yet on the channel. So I'm not going to get into that now. Who will be the first action hero to drive a Tesla in the movies? I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to see an action hero in the movies driving Teslas, because usually the company pays to have their vehicle product placed in the movie, and Tesla's not going to pay for that. So, there's a question: is somebody, when Cybertruck comes out, is somebody going to decide, this is so important, we have to have Cybertruck? There's nothing comparable. We need it for the art. I don't know. I mean, I think they make too much money on the product placements to do that. Tesla stock price forecast for Merry Christmas 2021. I don't make short-term stock price predictions. Because I can't understand the way Wall Street thinks. I know for me, the stock is already worth $2,500 a share, so I'm not selling any. But there's all kinds of crazy little things going on. I don't have a secret life, Jim. I have a personal life that is changing. My personal life is changing. For the better, in my opinion. That's a long conversation. But is the rear end of the new Cybertruck different? I didn't notice the rear end being different. Thoughts on the 40 gigawatt Tesla Megapack factory being built? I discussed that. It's a 40 gigawatt hour Megapack factory that is done in Lathrop, California. I believe they're already starting to produce Megapacks. We're going to see 2022, we're going to see massive increase in Megapack sales. And by 2023, it's going to have like a $10+ billion impact on revenue. They're going to be making $10 billion more in revenue. Megapack is a huge deal. I'm guessing we're going to see Megapack factory in China as well. Maybe we're going to see a Megapack factory in Europe. It makes sense to build those. Boring Revolution fares $5 to $20 based on distance. I think the fares might be lower, and yes, I think the casinos might even pay for the ride from the airport to the casino. If you're staying at a casino, they're probably going to pay for the ride. I'm not sure. What do I think about Lucid's backing with Saudi money? Well, I joke that I got invited. Somebody who claimed to be a Lucid insider reached out to me and wanted to meet in person, which I thought was odd. And I joked that he wanted to meet me in a Saudi consulate. So hopefully that's not true. William says, wonder if you can comment, could the Plaid drivetrain be retrofitted for orbital transport from space station to space station? Why would the Plaid drivetrain be used in orbital transport? I don't understand what the purpose of that would be. I don't know what the Plaid drivetrain has to do with orbital transport. I'm sorry. Now let's see what else we got. Am I sure I thought the Megapack factory was done. Yes, I'm not sure. Cormac Dublin. I asked the comptroller in Auditor General's office in my meeting, what do you think people are more likely to use, robo-taxis or double-decker buses? Thank you for your support, Cormac. Buy life insurance first. I have life insurance. Do I think India will cave on all its taxes and restrictions to let Tesla in? No, India will not cave. Oh, Ben Pena says, I am skeptical about the Boring Company, not sure what the vision is. Here's the vision, okay? You take areas where there's high traffic and there's a lot of traffic jams, and you bore tunnels under the highways to add extra lanes of travel, and you put, the simple version right now is you put Tesla vehicles in the tunnels, and the Tesla vehicles transport people from point A to point B, basically replacing public transport, Uber and Lyft. If you go from very popular destination to very popular destination or close to it, then you take a bunch of people who would ordinarily have ridden Uber or Lyft or buses or whatever, and they get a faster, safer, more convenient, more comfortable ride in the Boring Loop. And if you think about this, like Las Vegas, they're talking about doing 29 miles of tunnel right now. I think ultimately Las Vegas will scale to 100 miles. 100 miles of tunnel in Las Vegas, and we're not including from city to city, just inside the city. I think we're going to see 100 miles of tunnel in Las Vegas. There are 1,000 cities in the world that are roughly the size of Las Vegas. So if you have 1,000 cities do 100 miles of tunnel each, you have 100,000 miles of tunnel. Then you have tunnels between cities. Then you have potentially huge projects like what I call the boring Bering, where you go through the Bering Strait and connect North America with Asia and Europe and solve all kinds of transportation problems, make transportation much cleaner, make transportation much more efficient and faster. A lot of great things there. So thank you for the question, Ben. Corey says, you asked me if I think that EV tax credit will happen. I do not think the EV tax credit is going to happen at all. I don't think there's a chance of it. I think that the numbers show that the EV tax credit favors Tesla more than anyone else. And the Biden administration is very clearly in the pockets of the other three main American car makers, as well as maybe some other car makers, the internal combustion engine car makers. They don't want Tesla to get a benefit. Benjamin, don't worry about the thank you for your support. Don't worry about the question. I'm not asking for respect. I'm just not going to, I'm not ready to answer those questions yet, but the answer is coming eventually. I will say that I have told my Patreon supporters, and I think I've told some other supporters. So, do I think Tesla will make a priced around $15,000 car for the African market and other poorer countries? No, not yet. I think that Tesla is going from the top down, and I don't think there's any plans to get to a $15,000 vehicle anytime soon. And I don't think it's about the price of the vehicle. It's about the cost per mile of the ride. So I think what might really help very poor countries, aside from my single passenger podcar robotaxi, is minibuses. Tesla minibuses, maybe based on the Cybertruck chassis, that'll hold 20 or 30 people and take people for rides for a penny a mile, because when you have 30 people in the vehicle paying a penny a mile each, you're getting 30 cents a mile, you're making money. So, no comment on Thunderfoot. I've spoken enough about him. That doesn't sound good. Get a good lawyer. I don't need a lawyer. I am a lawyer. Not a good lawyer, but I'm a lawyer still. I did not see Lex Friedman's tweet, Breton. Love Lex Friedman's tweet. Complain less, build more. I am working on that myself. I want to build something. So let's see how we're doing on time. We're only an hour in. I don't see a lot of questions, and I don't have a lot. I ran out of material. Let me just really quickly say what's outside the simulation. Now they're t-shirts and the Elon stainless steel mug. Water bottle at elonbits.com. Please check that out. Please support the channel on Patreon. Let's really quickly, I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden again, all my Patreon supporters for helping the channel grow. You can join the channel on YouTube. There's a link to that in the description below. I have another channel called The Daily Lie where I talk about politics. I don't try not to talk about politics here. So The Daily Lie is where I talk about politics. I'm a little slow on production. Moving into this space is taking time away. I've got other things that are taking time away, so this is going to be a slow week. It's been a good month, though. Does wide release equal start of robotaxi? I don't think so. I think wide release means that full self-driving is good enough that human supervision will still be good. I think there's going to be another, let's say, 6-month period between 3 to 6 months between that and robotaxi. Ben Pena, I would love an interview with Lex Friedman. Please tell him you want him to interview me, or tell him I want to interview him. Either way, I would love to do it. Will I get Neuralinked? Yes, I do hope to get a Neuralink. For those who follow me closely, you know my mother has Alzheimer's. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. I am very concerned that I will get Alzheimer's, and if I could get a Neuralink, if that was potential to help me avoid or delay Alzheimer's, I would do it in a heartbeat. What will be Tesla's? This is a great question from Will. What will be Tesla's limiting factor in a few years? I mean, manufacturing is the holdup. I almost think politics is the big limiting factor, that politicians are going to resist what Tesla's doing. You know, judging by what we're seeing with the Biden administration, what we're seeing with Germany interfering with the Gigafactory in Berlin, I think politics may be the limiting factor more than anything else. Brady asks, I get this question all the time, am I going to do a model inclusive of TeslaBot? Yes. So I have a lot going on. I have other videos I need to make. Particularly want to make videos about Starbase. So I am planning to do a model that includes TeslaBot. It's hard to model because we don't know exactly what the story is. I don't think demand is a limiting factor at all. Oh, Scotland FX. Hi, Warren. Sorry, but I don't understand earnings per share and how does it affect share price? And your thoughts, if robotaxis don't happen, do you still see a 10x by 2030? So let me take the second question first. My bear case for Tesla in 2030 is no robotaxi. It's $8,000 a share. So not quite a 10x. And if there's no robotaxi, then there's no Tesla bot either, because Tesla bot depends on the same technology that robotaxi depends on. So that's a real bear case, and it's still $8,000 a share. It's $8,000 a share because Tesla's manufacturing better cars than anyone else, and they're growing fast. So they're making the gains that we're seeing so far are just related to producing cars at higher and higher profits. Earnings per share, the way earnings per share affects price from a Wall Street perspective is Wall Street investors tend to look and say, what's the earnings? All right, what's the earnings over a year? What's the share price? If the company earns $5 a share and the share price is $100, that's a price earnings ratio of 20. And the price earnings ratio is affected by how fast the company is growing. So Tesla is growing very, very fast. You'd expect a price earnings ratio over 100. So if your earnings per share for a year are, let's say, $5, which I think is coming, then you're worth $500 a share or more. I think we're already over $5 a share. But you're heading towards a world where Tesla is going to have $20 a share in earnings, and at a 50 price earnings ratio, that's a $2,500 share price. And I think the price earnings ratio should be higher than that. Amazon's price earnings ratio is higher than 50. So I think Tesla can get to FSD level 4 or 5 before Dojo is completed. I don't use the level terms. I don't believe that the level terms are relevant. I think the question is, can you get to better than human? Can it get to better than human before Dojo is completed? And I think the answer is yes. I think Elon has said yes. I think the difference is that it gets to better than human before Dojo is completed. It gets to much better than human after Dojo is completed. What does the timeline entail for colonizing Mars once we can land there? Great question, Carl. Here's my prediction for Mars. I should make a video about this. Not 2022, but 2024, Tesla launches a test mission or test missions to Mars. I think they launch 3 or 5 starships go to Mars. It's going to require a lot of launches. There's going to need to be a tanker starships that go up and repeatedly refill starships in orbit. The starships are going to be uncrewed, no humans on board. I don't think Tesla bot will be ready yet, so just uncrewed missions. And they're going to send 3 missions and have them land on Mars, maybe with solar panels, because they're going to need solar panels to power the Mars colony. So chock full of solar panels, and if they crash, and you lost some solar panels. So I think they launched 3 missions in 2024. The idea of the missions is the first mission hopefully lands successfully. If it doesn't, it's sending data back. And the second mission learns from the first mission and does a better attempt to land. And if that fails, the third mission attempts to land, and hopefully one or all of them stick the landing. And we get a lot of learning out of that. So in 2026, we can do more cargo missions, still uncrewed, to do more uncrewed cargo missions to get more payload to Mars. You know, if the first 3 landings all succeed, then maybe you take a risk and you do a human mission in 2026. But I think more likely you have a lot of cargo missions in 2026. A lot of cargo missions. You deliver a lot of payload to Mars, to the Martian surface. And then in 2029, I think you see crewed missions to Mars. Probably one crewed mission to Mars with like 10 people. I don't think you would do a small group. I think you would do at least 10 people. Get to Mars, and then you start flying more and more starships. And once you've demonstrated we can do this, we can start building something meaningful on Mars. And by 2029, you probably have Tesla bot going as well. So you're able to get a lot of work done. And then you start seeing more and more missions. So every starship can carry, let's say, 100 people to Mars. You get 10 starships going, you're getting 1,000 people. You get 100 starships going in a season, you got 100,000 people going. The goal is to get 1 million people to Mars. So every 2 years, if you launch 50,000 people, then in 10 years you got 500, and in 20 years you got 500,000 people. I think they want to do more than that. We'll see. All right, let's see. Could there be more robots working Mars than people even long term? Yes. I think Tesla bot, it'll be easy to cram a whole bunch of Tesla bots in a starship. You can cram a whole lot more Tesla bots than you can humans in. Won't a reusable Starship wipe out all other rocket companies except for a few national ones from different companies? Yeah, probably. I think it really should wipe out the national companies too. I mean, why would you bother launching on some other thing that costs so much more money when you can launch cheap on Starship? I don't know. Will they cancel the single motor Cybertruck? Will they cancel the single motor Cybertruck? I don't think so. I think single motor Cybertruck will happen. It's just going to be a while. It's probably 2025. It was pushed back to 2024, I think, originally. I think now single motor Cybertruck will be 2025. That's when they've scaled up production enough. And my gut hunch is single motor Cybertruck will use lithium iron phosphate batteries because it won't need the range. One Link at a Time asks, are there any financial benefits to going to Mars? It's sort of a if you build it, they will come scenario. I would say this: when Christopher Columbus was thinking about going to North America, traveling across the ocean, and everybody thought he was crazy, and when you had the early missions on boats to come to North America and South America, I don't think anybody thought how much value would be generated by the Westerners occupying North America, South America. So there's tremendous potential for Mars to be a huge boon. I think the biggest benefit that I can see is as a base for further space exploration. If you can build a self-sustaining colony on Mars, you can start building starships on Mars. But even if you just get starships from Earth, they get to Mars and they refuel on Mars, which you can refuel using you can produce fuel on Mars using the Sabatier process. Launching from Mars has a much smaller gravity well, so it's easier to do meaningful launches from Mars than it is from Earth. Will China's leadership in robotaxi adoption accelerate global acceptance of FSD systems? I think there's a chance that China ends up being the home of the first home of robotaxis because the Biden administration may want to stop Tesla from operating robotaxis, and China would be happy to have it. Does anyone else see this post? I'm wondering if I'm blocked. I don't know what post you're talking about. What's the latest news about Dojo? So the latest news about Dojo, there was a reference to Dojo in the Q3 investor call where it seemed like Drew Baglino said that Dojo is fully committed to Tesla, and it sounded like they were already using it. Somebody had asked, would they sell Dojo services to others? And eventually, yes, but right now it's fully committed to doing Tesla projects. And the way he said it, it sounded like they were already using it. Need to push Venus out to Earth's orbital distance? That seems like a very difficult thing to do. My prediction for cost of dual motor Cybertruck. So I think that dual motor was originally priced at 50 and tri-motor was priced at 70. I think the dual motor is going to go up to 60,000 and tri-motor is going to go up to 90 or 100,000. I think they're going to increase the prices, absolutely. I think the demand, with inflation, with the supply chain issues, everything else, I think the prices are going to go up. What kind of entertainment will be included in robotaxi? Great question. Mile or state limited? Can people drink? Computer Wi-Fi included if work is included? So I don't think you're going to need Wi-Fi in a robotaxi because you'll have your cell phone signal. I don't know why you would need Wi-Fi for that. I think there might be a screen in the robotaxi, but it depends what kind of ride you're going on. If you're commuting around a city, you're not going to be in the vehicle that long. You don't need entertainment. You don't need a screen. For my Podcar robotaxi, I do intend to have a screen with entertainment, and also you can be able to look outside through the screen. Can states sidestep NHTSA? I don't think they can, but I wouldn't put it past some of the governors to say, screw it, we're tired of waiting, we're going to do it. Companies are legally citizens, right? Can they be president? I'm pretty sure companies can't be president. Are we sure non-autonomous people accept Tesla bot help? Some people will resist robotaxis, some people will resist robots. But other people will use them. And people didn't like smartphones. When I first had a smartphone, everybody thought it was dumb. Now everybody has a smartphone. There will be early adopters, and then other people will come on board. Is Missy Cummings really actually shorting Tesla? I don't think she's shorting Tesla. She has a substantial investment in a competing company called Veoneer that does LiDAR. Tesla ride-hail. I think there will be a Tesla ride-hail network, yes. Do I think Tesla can... Okay, I think I answered that. Taylor Ogan claims Tesla's behind compared to other Chinese EV companies in regard to FSD. Thoughts? I think Taylor Ogan says a lot of interesting things, and he's often wrong. I like Taylor, but I think he's wrong about that. What do I think the PE ratio Tesla should be at right now that would be reasonable? 500? 500 or more. I mean, it's growing ridiculously fast. Will supply shortages eventually catch up with Tesla? Supply shortages have already affected Tesla. They have slowed the introduction of Cybertruck. They slowed the introduction of other vehicles and other products. It's already an issue. It's already slowed them, but they are managing pretty well with it. No, a company cannot be president. I don't know why that question's even been asked. What will Warren's Tesla bot be named? I don't know if why would I only have one Tesla bot? I'm going to have a fleet of Tesla bots. Will Tesla or SpaceX be bigger? I believe Tesla will be substantially bigger than SpaceX. I think Boring Company could potentially be as big as Tesla or bigger, and Neuralink could be bigger than Tesla. SpaceX, I don't see SpaceX being bigger, but maybe I don't understand the Mars story. When do I think I will get Neuralink? If you watch, I did a video about Neuralink talking about Siobhan Zillis. I think I would get a Neuralink. I'm 55 now, it's 2021. By the age of 70, so 15 years from now, I hope to have a Neuralink, maybe sooner. Excuse me. Surely Tesla's building a chip factory. Don't call me Shirley. I don't think Tesla's building a chip factory. Maybe they'll buy a chip maker. I don't think so that either, though. Go back to the bottom here. If you fall asleep in driver's seat while FSD is on, is there a way to prevent accidental interventions? I don't really understand the question. If you fall asleep in the driver's seat while FSD is on, FSD will pull the car over, as far as I know. Will a boring tunnel be built between Austin and Boca Chica to help Elon's commute? I don't think they will build a tunnel from Austin all the way to Boca Chica. I don't think there's any need for that. The road, once you get south of roughly San Antonio, there's a road and it's pretty empty, and I don't see an advantage to a boring tunnel. You know, Elon can get there by plane, so it doesn't matter to him. It'd be very expensive to build a boring tunnel from Austin to Boca Chica. I don't want to rule it out, but you know, I think there are other projects that are going to have higher traffic volume that make more sense than Austin to Boca Chica. And it would really be Austin to San Antonio and San Antonio to Boca Chica. San Antonio's on the way roughly to Boca Chica. I don't think it makes sense in the short run. Brownsville would have to grow a lot. The area around Starbase would have to grow a lot for that to make financial sense. There's only like 200,000 people in Brownsville. So connecting one of the largest cities in the country, and a lot of those people are poor. So connecting one of the largest cities in the country to, or two of the largest cities in the country to nowhere doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes more sense to connect large cities. So, you know, Austin, San Antonio to Austin, Austin to Dallas, Dallas to Houston, Houston to San Antonio. Those make sense. Doing a triangle like that would make sense. Clark Leakin says, fantastic speculation on Mars with SpaceX. Do I expect to observe such expectations in my lifetime? Well, I'm 55. I'm hoping to make it to 90, 85 anyway. That's 30 years. I'm expecting humans on Mars in 8 years. So yeah, I'm expecting humans on Mars in 8 years. And I'm expecting to live 30. So yes, I'm expecting to see that. Where is Dojo Palo Alto? I believe it is in Palo Alto, but I'm not certain. Scotland FX, I get this question a lot. He says, if Tesla is to produce 20 million cars per year by 2030, how many factories do you think they would need for that level of production? I don't know what you mean by factories. So I think that if you're talking about locations, right, we have Shanghai, we have Berlin, we have Texas, we have Fremont. Leave Fremont out of it. Between Shanghai, Berlin, and Texas, I think we already have enough locations to produce 20 million vehicles. I think Giga Texas alone could produce 6 million vehicles a year, the building that we know about. I might be over-optimistic, maybe it's 4 million, but they have land in Texas to build more buildings. They have land in Berlin to build more buildings. I'm sure they can get more land in Shanghai to build more buildings. So I personally think there will be a Giga Osaka, a Tesla factory in Osaka, but we'll see. But it really depends on the next generation vehicle that's going to come out of the battery day vehicle. What is the intent with that? Is it a large factory to produce them in large volume, or do they have a new plan where they can do smaller footprint factories and spit them out in high velocity, and then they can locate those factories in multiple locations? I don't know what the plan is. I think the plan is to go bigger, but I thought Elon said something contrary to that recently. Will the true size of the Lucid 520-mile battery ever be known? If they deliver cars to customers, eventually someone will tear down a Lucid Motors vehicle, and we'll know. Sandy Monroe will get his hands on one. He will tear it down. Somebody will get their hands on one, or one will be in a crash, and we will find out how big the battery pack is. And maybe Green the Only will get access to the UI. He'll get access to the computer, and he'll figure it out. Wait What says, not sure about the need for humanoid robots on Mars as there is no human infrastructure yet. The purpose of humanoid robots on Mars, of Tesla Bot on Mars, is to do work out in space where humans can't operate without spacesuits. The point is to do work that is repetitive, boring, and dangerous. And working on Mars outside of an atmosphere, when there's no air, would qualify as dangerous. Tesla Bot should be able to work outside on Mars. That's the advantage. That there are going to be a lot of tasks like assembling solar panel, farms, solar farms. There's going to be a lot of tasks that Tesla Bot will be able to. They'll be able to train it to do that will be really important. How we doing? Other than Elon, do SpaceX and Tesla share engineering talent? Yes. Yes. I mean, even Boring Company is headed by Steve Davis, who was a SpaceX employee. He's mentioned it. If you haven't read it, by the way, check out the book Liftoff. I don't think I have a link to it in the description below, but check out the book Liftoff on Amazon. Great book for reading about SpaceX and really understanding Elon, I think, a lot. Yes, SpaceX and Tesla crossed, I think, particularly the development of the steel for Cybertruck and for Starship. I think that was a joint project between SpaceX and Tesla. Elon and SpaceX uses, I think, Model 3 battery packs in some of the rockets. Elon once said it would take 1 square mile of solar rays to power the globe. Why can the planet make this happen? Surely in America this can be done. I think you have to make a lot of solar panels, and a square mile of solar panels. I don't know if it was 1 square mile. I think it was more than 1 square mile. Warren, would space bots need to be nuclear powered? I don't think so. I don't know why they would have to be nuclear powered. If we go to a Lucid store, will they let people test drive? Not yet. There's no, as far as I know, there's been no test drives at a Lucid store yet. We'll see. Can Tesla sue Mary from NHTSA for biasness towards Tesla FSD? I think you're talking about Missy Cummings. No, I don't think you can sue agencies for bias. What happens is at some point, NHTSA takes a regulatory action that is negative to Tesla. At that point, Tesla might take legal action. Or NHTSA refuses to allow something that Tesla wants to do. So they don't take a negative action, but they refuse to grant a positive action. At that point, Tesla might sue. Or Tesla does something that NHTSA might like, and NHTSA might sue Tesla. So something like that could happen. Zeke Uribazo says, Elon should build a tunnel from South Padre to Boca Chica Beach. That's actually proposed. There has been a proposal to build a tunnel from South Padre to Boca Chica. That proposal already exists. I don't know where it stands. When will government break up Tesla? I think antitrust authorities in the US and Europe might decide to break up Tesla at some point if Tesla becomes a monopoly. I expect Tesla to break itself up before the government can get to it. I think you'll see robotaxi spin off as a separate company. You'll see Tesla Europe spin off as a separate company. See Tesla China spin off as a separate company. See Tesla Energy spin off as a separate company. I could see all of those things spinning off to reduce the risk of government intervention. My thoughts on India, I love the food, very interesting country. Do I think that Tesla will build a factory in India? Not yet. I think that there's a lot of potential. I would love to see Tesla do a research and design center, an engineering center in India. There's so many talented engineers in India. That would be a great thing to do. If logistics is hard for 900,000, how will they deliver 20 million? Well, the logistics problems get easier when you have your factories on each continent. And I think that they are scaling up all kinds of things along the way. I don't think logistics is the issue. It's the supply chain, and I think they're working that out. Andres asks, would I go to Mars? No. I don't want to say never, but I have 2 children who I like seeing, and if I go to Mars, I'm going to be so far away. Going to Mars is a 30-month trip, right? It's not like you just go to Mars and come back. It's 3 to 6 months on the ship to get to Mars, and you can't come back until 18 months go by because the planets are now on opposite sides. If the sun is here, Earth is here, and Mars is over here, you can't get there. They have to be closely to each other to make the trip work. So going to Mars is a 30-month trip. So that's a long time to be away from family. Now, I'm 70 years old. I'm 75 years old. I have no grandkids. The other problem is, why am I on Mars? I'm not useful. I'm not an engineer. I'm the guy, I love saying this. If I'm on Mars and there's a leak and they need to plug the leak, they're going to say, stick Warren in it. I'm like the useful, that's how I'm useful. I'm not useful in other ways. I'm not mechanically inclined. I can do some things, but I'm not that good. I'm not, they don't need a lawyer and a YouTuber on Mars. So I don't think I add value. Would I be willing to move to Mars when a colony is established in your old age? I would be willing to move to Mars if I don't have grandkids. I'm a little concerned I would lose contact with my kids. But, for me personally, I have a lot of family here on Earth that, I want to stay in touch with, and going to Mars would make that very difficult. I don't want to say absolutely zero probability, but I wouldn't be inclined to go and leave my kids behind. So, I would go to the moon, because the moon is a short trip, but a 30-month trip is such a long trip. Would I move to Mars? I just don't think that I add value on Mars the way other people do. Engineers are valuable on Mars. I'm not. I don't think, Missy Cummings' appointment to NHT, if NHTSA stalls FSD development, then it stalls the revenues from FSD, and it stalls the revenues from robotaxi, and it stalls saving lives. Mars will be lawyer-free. Let's hope. I mean, lawyers do some good things, just to be clear, but I've done some good things as a lawyer, but I just don't know how much value I would add on Mars. The factories in Austin and Berlin are the same size, but everything is bigger in Texas. No. The factory in Texas is much bigger than the factory in Berlin. I believe that it's bigger. If Warren was on Mars, he would be pumping Saturn. Earth to Mars is not a one-way trip for decades. You'll be able to come back once they establish refueling facilities on Mars. It's just a 30-month trip. It's not a one-way trip. Was Herbert Diess at VW when Franz von Holzhausen was working there? I don't know. Does Giga Ireland not make more sense than Giga UK? I don't know enough about that. I think Giga Ireland does make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Probably be able to supply vehicles to the UK. I just think the problem is that Giga Berlin already supplies Europe. So Ireland and the UK alone are not very big markets. So I don't know, where are the Giga Ireland vehicles going, and why didn't you build that factory in Berlin instead? If Berlin ends up being really, really difficult and impedes, if German regulations make it really, really hard to build stuff in Berlin, then maybe. Do I know how much bigger Giga Texas is compared to Giga Berlin? I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say it's 50% larger, but I'm not sure. I think it's bigger. I mean, somebody else said it's not. I'm pretty sure it's bigger. Would they expand Lathrop to build Megapack instead of at Giga Nevada, a worker short? Why would they expand Lathrop to build Megapack instead of at Giga Nevada, workers? I definitely think that there's challenges getting good engineers working in Nevada. There's just not, there's not as much to do there. One of Elon's focuses, one of Tesla's focuses is when they want to build things where engineers want to live, where people want to live. So I think like Orlando, the Orlando area is a great place for, Canaveral, Cape Canaveral is near Orlando. So if your wife and kids want to go to Disney World for the day, it's an hour drive. So I think Tesla doing something near Orlando would make a lot of sense. Boring Company doing a project in Orlando would make a lot of sense. SpaceX growing in Canaveral makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of potential for that area. The Research Triangle in North Carolina seems like really promising. Do I think Ford and Rivian know their trucks are too heavy to be competitive? Yeah, I think they know their trucks are too heavy, but I don't know if that makes them completely uncompetitive. If they work, they work. Do I think auto gross margins can get to 35% or higher? Yes. I heard that the gross margin on the Shanghai Model Y was 55%. When will Tesla be seen as a monopoly? I think the robotaxi network could be a monopoly, but this is one of those things where if when you're watching this as a citizen and you see that the robotaxi network has made your life so much better and Tesla doesn't overprice the rides. They make money on it, of course, but they don't overprice it. And when the government says they want to interfere, you got to stand up and say, no, this is making our lives better. Why are you interfering with this? Has Tesla opened up the charging to the competition yet? How will that work? I don't believe that any Tesla competitors want their vehicles charged at the Tesla supercharger network, because that would expose their customers to branding. So I think the challenge there is getting other companies to approve of that. All right, let's see. Could foreign companies repossess factories for their own companies? Could foreign countries repossess factories for their own companies? They could, but they're not going to know how to operate the factory. And that's a problem. People talk like China's going to steal Tesla's factory. Why aren't you concerned that the Biden administration is going to cause problems for Tesla's factories? U.S. government and the California government have been a bigger problem for Tesla than the Chinese government. I don't know why everybody thinks the Chinese government's a problem for Tesla. Do I think Fremont will shut down and retool for front and rear castings for Model 3 and Y when Austin ramps? Yes. I definitely think that we will see improvements in Fremont in the future. That's why Elon said that they're going to increase, and Drew also, Zach also said they expect Fremont production to increase 50%. Any info on who's buying megapacks? I think utilities are buying megapacks. In your base case, how many Tesla shares should you own to be a millionaire in 2030? 125? At $8,000 a share, 125 shares would be $1 million. That's my bear case, not my base case. My base case is more like $50,000 a share, so you could own 20 shares and have $1 million. But I don't know why people think that way. To me, look, I can't offer professional investment advice. I'm not a professional investment advisor. But now I'm going to tell you what I think anyway. I think a smart investor buys as much Tesla stock as they can, and they don't buy Tesla stock before they buy anything else. It's risky because you never know what's going to happen, but would I be willing to be the John Hancock of the new Martian Constitution? I do have a big signature. I don't think that they need me for that either. I think there are probably better people than that for designing a constitution. I don't think I'm the guy for that. I mean, I'm happy to chip in and offer my thoughts, but I don't think I'm the guy for that. Is Tesla buying BYD batteries? I have not heard that Tesla's buying BYD batteries yet. I think BYD uses all the batteries that they make. I think that Tesla's buying lithium iron phosphate batteries from CATL and LG Chem, and I think that CATL and LG Chem are probably going to build lithium iron phosphate factories in Europe and America. Why can't Tesla make a model that can switch between performance to long range with a push of a button? Because it doesn't work like that. They're different motors. The long range Model Y has different motors than the performance Model Y. The performance vehicle has more aggressive tires that are less efficient. If all the XYs were sent to Mars, it would be overpopulated. I am not 75 years old. I'm saying when I'm 75, I might be willing to go. To colonize Mars, would it make sense to colonize the moon, or at least have a moon base? I don't think that the moon is relevant to colonizing Mars, but I think that that a moon base is a natural thing, that is a sensible thing for SpaceX to participate in. But I don't see it as being necessary at all. You're not going to launch to the moon and then launch from the moon to Mars. You're going to launch to low Earth orbit and go from low Earth orbit to Mars. There's no advantage to going to the moon on the way to Mars that I know of. Could Tesla bot cause a reduction in human reproduction? I think we're seeing a lot. I just read something about the risk of human reproduction becoming more difficult. I don't see why Tesla bot has an impact on that. How are we doing on time? An hour and a half. Will I start the reactors on Mars? No. Did I wrap up my last case? No, I have a conference tomorrow on one case, and I believe we're wrapping up the other case, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully soon. Did I ever see the documentary series Mars that was on Netflix, National Geographic? I think I started watching it and I didn't like it. Didn't like it. Didn't like the feel of it. Does FSD recognize potholes and roadway problems? I think it recognizes some of them. I don't think it recognizes all of them. I think that's something that will improve over time. Yes, Jim Whitehead points this out. People talk about China like some countries going to nationalize Tesla's factories. Venezuela nationalized the oil refineries and they fell apart because of corruption. It doesn't work. When a country takes over a factory, they end up wrecking the factory. It's not a good strategy. And look, if you're China, this is something I say this a lot. I don't know if people get this. You're the wealthiest man in China. You're the most powerful bureaucrat in China. Your grandchildren have to breathe. Your granddaughter still has to breathe the polluted air. If you care about your children and grandchildren, you want them to breathe clean air. There is one company on the planet that is doing more than anyone else to clean the air, and it's Tesla. You want Tesla to produce in high volumes so that you can get rid of the fossil fuel usage. You want Tesla to produce solar and battery packs and battery storage and vehicles because it's cleaning the air, and you want your air cleaner so you can breathe cleaner air and your children can breathe cleaner air. Who understands the design of small cars better, Europe or China? Probably China at this point. I don't know. I mean, I think Europe is still very good at designing cars, but China's better at producing them. And my base case, I think I answered that one already. Okay. Let's see. Thoughts on what the next generation factories might include factory. The components of the factory, the sections of the factory will be closer together and things will move faster. Those are the two big things. I don't know enough about factories to say more than that. Is Dojo up and running, and how useful is Dojo to solving FSD currently? We don't know if Dojo is up and running. Something Drew said in the quarterly call suggested that it's up and running in a limited capacity. It's very useful to solving full self-driving, but it's basically what happens is the car drives, the car experiences things, the car sends data up to the mothership. Dojo is at the mothership, the other supercomputers at the mothership, and they train based on the data that comes in. When Dojo is up and running full speed, they'll be able to train larger amounts of data at higher speed, and they'll get iterations out faster, and they'll be able to train more complex models. What is my current bull case for share price 2030, given my experience with FSD and recent AI announcements? So my bull case for 2030 is more than $100,000 a share. And that's before taking into account Tesla bot. So in other words, if the robotaxi network grows to say 100 million vehicles, and 100 million vehicles are making $25,000 a year in profit, I don't think they'll make that much profit when the fleet scales to that size, but let's say they're making $25,000 a year in profit. So $25,000 times 100 million vehicles is some ridiculously, I don't even know if I can figure that out, $25,000 times 100 million vehicles. I believe that's $2.5 trillion in profit. So at a 40 price earnings ratio, that's $100 trillion, which is $100,000 share price. And then you throw in Tesla bot, and you figure a Tesla bot is if a human worker does typically, let's say it replaces a $25,000 a year worker, or let's say a $20,000 a year worker, let's say a $10,000 a year worker, and you have 1 million Tesla bots, then you've got $10 billion in revenue and profit right there. And there's no reason you couldn't make 100 million Tesla bots or more. That's where you get, and now you have a fleet of Tesla bots, and every year you make more of them, and you have this fleet of bots that's doing more and more work, producing more and more profit. So my bull case is over $100,000 a share, and maybe 200,000 or higher. Congratulations, David Rucker. Do I have a landline telephone? Do reviews. I do not have a landline telephone. When $25,000 car? I think that the battery day vehicle is probably pushed off to 2024, but I'm not sure of that. There was something that came up in the investor call, and they didn't give a straight answer, and I think it just depends on the flow of supply, on the supply chain and everything else. Will Tesla start making chips if global supply is still a mess in 2023? They might buy a chip maker. Where am I? I am in my new YouTube studio, which needs a lot of work. The bot that makes the bot. Will some tunnels be ventilated, or will they all be electric only? Robert Reeves, thank you for joining the channel, for being a member. Please join the channel. Please support the channel on Patreon. Please follow me on the Daily Lie. Links to all that in the description below. Some Boring Company tunnels will be, well, first of all, even the electric vehicle tunnels are ventilated. The tunnels that are designed to handle more than electric vehicles will probably need more ventilation. But yes, I believe Boring Company will make tunnels that handle non-electric vehicles. I think there's a plan for that already, or at least one of them. I think the Brickell tunnel that they've talked about in Miami, I think will be that. So UbaTubers says Tesla doesn't have a presence in South America, which is a huge market. It's not a huge market. Do I think they will build a factory in, say, Brazil? I think Giga Rio or Giga Sao Paulo makes a lot of sense. Yes. I'm not sure where exactly in Brazil. I think it makes sense for Tesla ultimately to build a Gigafactory in South America. I think the market is big enough. I don't think the market is huge. I think the market is big enough that it would support it. Do I think Elon's other companies will be as beneficial to early investors as Tesla has when and if they go public? Yes. I think Neuralink is an open question whether it will succeed. Boring Company will obviously succeed. SpaceX is obviously succeeding. I think they're all great for the early investors. All right, we're an hour and 40 minutes in. How much will a Bonstitute charge? All right, I think if we're going to Bonstitutes, we've gone too far. Are there any publicly traded car battery recycling companies? Not that I know of. Tesla. Tesla's going to be a car battery recycling company. So thank you for watching. Please check out the t-shirts, What's Outside the Simulation, elonbits.com for the merch. Support the channel on Patreon. I'm going to wrap this up because this, I don't really have the right setup. I know the sound isn't good. I really appreciate everybody watching, but I think it's time to wrap this up and thank everybody. And next week, hopefully I'll have better sound. I'll do some sound installation. I'll have better video, and we'll go forward next week. So thanks everyone for watching. And thank you especially to the moderators. Please check out the t-shirt in the chat. What's Outside the Simulation, everybody. Thanks everyone.